I heard the shatter before I felt my sister's hands. That's the line that still replays in my head, like a movie scene I never asked to be in. 1 second, I was standing on the patio of my mother's house in Raleigh, North Carolina. The next, my sister Serena was screaming, face twisted, eyes wild, as she shoved me backward. I didn't even have time to brace myself. The glass door behind me exploded into bright, raining fragments. Then everything went white. Then everything went quiet. When I woke up, they told me I had been unconscious for days. When I woke up again, I realized something worse. My sister hadn't just pushed me. She had rewritten the entire story of what happened. And my family believed her. If you've ever woken up to a world where someone else told your story for you, stick with me. This one goes all the way. When I came to, the hospital ceiling was soft and white, almost glowing. I blinked, my throat was dry, and every sound felt like it came from underwater. Then I heard her voice. Serena. Oh my God, Petricia, you scared us. You just slipped. Slipped. That word sat in my chest like ice. Mom hovered behind her, wringing her hands. Dad stood stiff near the wall, looking away from me. Nobody asked what I remembered. Nobody asked what really happened. It wasn't until later that a nurse whispered. Your sister said you tripped on the threshold. The threshold? I had been shoved so hard the glass blew outward. But lying there, tubes taped to my arm, pain humming through my ribs like electricity. I realized I couldn't argue. Not yet. I counted every face in the room. My parents. Serena. Her husband, Drew. All looking at me like I had caused trouble. And maybe this is dramatic. But in that moment, I learned how alone a person can feel while surrounded by family. Before we go deeper, since you're here, listening to this with me, please like and subscribe. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. It actually means something to me, more than you know. Serena and I grew up like two halves of the same picture. But one half was framed in gold. And the other was just taped to the wall. She was the bright one. The ambitious one. The leader. I was the calm one. The patient one. The one who didn't mind stepping back. That's what Mom always said. Petricia doesn't mind. She's good at adjusting. Adjusting. I learned to adjust out of birthdays, out of celebrations, out of my own victories. When Serena got into college, everything became about her. When she started her business, my parents invested in her. When she bought her first house, they helped with the down payment. And when I quietly worked my way through community college and became a project coordinator at a local engineering firm, my mom said, "Oh, that sounds comfortable." Comfortable. As if I had built a pillow, not a career. Serena had the spotlight. I had the shadows. But here's the thing. Shadows see everything. And the day she pushed me? That rage, it didn't come out of nowhere. It had been simmering for years. And in the next section, I'll tell you exactly what pulled the pin. Every family has a pressure point. Ours was inheritance. My parents owned a small set of rental properties in Durham, nothing fancy, but valuable. I never asked for anything. But my dad pulled me aside one afternoon last spring and said, "When the time comes, everything will be 50-50 between you and Serena. Just so you know." I guess he thought he was reassuring me. But he had just lit the fuse. Because Serena, she doesn't share well. When she heard Dad had told me that, something shifted. She started making comments. Private ones, whispered Sharp. You don't even need property. You just mismanage it. You should let me handle the assets when mom and dad are older. You're not built for that responsibility, pet. The last one actually made me laugh, until I realized she was serious. So when I corrected a mistake she made with a tenant document, a tiny administrative oversight, she exploded. That was the day of the shove. That was why she pushed me through the door. Not because she was angry at the mistake, but because she was angry that I existed on equal footing. I threatened her story. Her story that she was the capable daughter. The deserving daughter. The daughter who should get everything. And so she tried to erase me. But what she didn't know was this. You can shove a person. But when they stand back up, they stand differently. The day after I woke up, a social worker asked to speak with me. That's when I learned Serena had told the hospital staff I was clumsy, emotionally overwhelmed, and had a history of accidents. Accidents. Plural. She was padding her story. I felt sick. Not from my injuries, but from the realization that she wasn't just covering her tracks. She was framing me. Then I learned something worse. While I was unconscious, Serena had told everyone. My parents, her husband, even extended family. That I fell backward during an argument and she tried to catch me. She made herself the hero. She also intercepted several of my work messages. She told my manager I wouldn't be returning for a while. She told my landlord she'd be handling my mail. She was taking control of my life. I was lying in a hospital bed. And Serena was building a world where I was unstable. And she was responsible for me. That's when I realized. She didn't just want the assets. She wanted my independence. She wanted me small. She wanted me quiet. And I almost let her do it. Almost. But then came the betrayal that made me stop swallowing my fear. Before we dive deeper in the story, I humbly request your support. Please do like the video and subscribe us so you never miss another story, and tell us your views in the comments. I wasn't strong enough to walk yet, but the nurses had me in a wheelchair. They rolled me into the hallway for a scan. As I waited outside, I heard voices around the corner, my mom and Serena. Mom whispered. Do you think she remembers anything? Serena replied, low and sharp. It doesn't matter. Everyone believes me. And honestly, maybe this is a sign. Maybe Petricia shouldn't live alone anymore. Live alone? Mom sighed. I just don't want her making trouble. Especially with the estate conversations coming up. She's always been emotional. Emotional. I closed my eyes, gripping the armrest until my fingers ached. Then Serena said something that made my heart pound in my ears. If she pushes this, I'll remind everyone about her anger issues. She won't fight me. Anger issues. I had never raised my voice in my life. My mother murmured, just keep her calm. Serena laughed once. I know exactly how to handle her. The nurse returned a moment later, wheeling me into the scan room, unaware I was shaking. In that instant, I felt something inside me snap back into place. Not out of rage. Out of clarity. I wasn't safe with my own sister. I wasn't believed by my own parents. I wasn't respected in my own story. And that's when I knew. I would not let Serena write the ending. I would write it myself. And it would be calm. Quiet. Methodical. Legal. And irreversible. When the doctors cleared me to leave, I moved back into my small apartment in Chapel Hill. Everything hurt, my body, my trust, my sense of home. Serena insisted I stay with her. I said no. She insisted she should manage my paperwork. I said no. She insisted she talk to my work on my behalf. I said no. Every boundary I built, she tried to step over. Until one morning, when she showed up with a stack of documents for me to sign. I'm just helping, she said sweetly. Her voice always got sugary when she was scheming. My intuition buzzed. I told her to leave them. When she finally left, I opened the stack. Power of attorney documents. Estate planning forms. A request to put her on one of my accounts for emergencies. I sat back in my chair. My stomach twisted. This wasn't about the shove. It wasn't about the house. It wasn't even about the inheritance. This was about control. She wanted control of my story, my assets, my life. That was the exact moment. The turning point. The moment I stopped pleading. And started planning. I whispered to myself. Okay, Serena. You want to play with paperwork? You just walked into my arena. Because here's the kicker. Her biggest strength, manipulation. Couldn't hold a candle to my biggest strength. Documentation. And I was going to document everything. Before I continue, and since this is the midpoint. If you've ever been gaslit by family, hit that subscribe button so I know I'm not alone out here. My revenge wasn't going to be loud. It wasn't going to be dramatic. It was going to be administrative. My favorite kind. Step 1. Record everything. I kept a log of every message, every visit, every time Serena pressured me. North Carolina is a one-party consent state, so I recorded conversations when necessary. Step 2. Request medical records. My fall description was inaccurate. The impact pattern didn't match a backward stumble. More of a forward thrust. Professionals noticed things Serena didn't understand. Step 3. Freeze every shared point of access. I changed passwords. Updated contact information. Notified my employer. Notified my landlord. Placed a freeze on my credit. Set up two-factor authentication. Step 4. Meet with an estate attorney. Confidentially. Calmly. I told her everything. She didn't react with shock. She reacted with precision. Petricia, this isn't uncommon. And you're not crazy. Let's put some safeguards in place. Together, we updated my will. Named a neutral executor. Created locked protections. Documented the incident. Filed a formal statement in case of future disputes. Step 5. Prepare the reveal. Because Serena thrived on secrecy. So I would end her power with sunlight. But the real magic of the plan? Serena didn't know a single thing I was doing. Not one. She still thought I was her quiet, gentle sister. She had no idea she was walking into her own unraveling. 2 months after the incident, my parents invited both of us to dinner to reset the family tone. I knew Serena had arranged it, her voice had been all over the message they left. I accepted. But I didn't go alone. I brought a folder. Mom hugged Serena first. Of course. We sat at the table. Dad cleared his throat. We want to put this accident behind us. Accident. Serena folded her hands delicately. I just want my sister back. I almost laughed. But instead, I opened my folder. Inside were printed medical records. Notes from the nurse stating I was conscious and coherent. Timestamps of Serena's calls to others. Messages where she pressured me. Proof of the documents she tried to get me to sign. A written statement from the estate attorney. A timeline of events while I was unconscious. I slid the folder into the center of the table. Before we talk about moving on, I said softly. We're going to talk about the truth. Serena's face drained of color. Mom frowned. What is all this? My voice didn't shake. Not once. This is documentation. Of everything that happened. Everything Serena said. Everything she tried to do. Mom whispered. Petricia, why would you do this? I met her eyes. Because you all believed her version. Now you're going to see mine. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't accuse. I simply read. Page by page. Serena tried to interrupt. I held up my hand. No. You spoke for me while I was unconscious. Now I speak. When I finished, the room was silent. My dad stared at Serena. You tried to get power of attorney? Serena stammered. I was helping, she's emotional, she needs guidance. I said the private humiliation line quietly. The one that cut deepest. Serena, the only thing I ever needed protection from was you. And she went absolutely still. Before we go ahead, hit that like button and subscribe our channel if you find this story interesting. My parents weren't perfect, far from it. But they weren't stupid. The evidence wiped the floor with Serena's narrative. Dad asked me to step outside while they talked. From the porch, I heard bits of it. You lied. You manipulated. You pushed her. You tried to take her rights. What is wrong with you? Serena cried, screamed, denied, then cried again. The cycle of someone losing control. When I was finally invited back inside, Mom looked broken. Dad looked furious. Serena looked small. That night, without yelling. Without revenge in the dramatic sense. I won something I never expected. Freedom. Mom apologized. Dad apologized. They offered therapy, mediation, boundaries. But I didn't need them to fix it. I had already fixed myself. I chose distance. Not dramatic cutting off. Just boundaries. I told my parents I loved them but needed space. I limited conversations to safe topics. I visited occasionally, on my terms. As for Serena, we haven't spoken since that night. She sends long apology messages every few weeks. Some angry. Some tearful. Some manipulative. I don't respond. Not out of cruelty. But out of peace. I don't hate her. I don't wish her harm. I just don't trust her. And that's enough. These days, I wake up in my quiet apartment. Drink coffee on my little balcony. And breathe without waiting for someone to rewrite my story. Because it's mine again. Finally mine. And if you've listened this far, thank you. This was a hard one to tell. The truth is simple. Some people don't want to hurt you, they want to control the version of you that exists in their world. And when you stop fitting their narrative, they will break glass to force you back into it. But you don't owe anyone your silence. You don't owe anyone your story. You don't owe anyone the version of yourself that keeps them comfortable. Protect your peace. Document everything. Stand back up, different, stronger, clearer. And remember, the quietest revenge is reclaiming your own life. If this story resonated with you, drop a comment and tell me what part hit hardest. And if you want more stories of quiet strength and powerful comebacks, you already know what to do.